What's up, everybody? It's Tony here at Harrisonburg Hyundai, and behind me now, you already see it. It's the newly redesigned 2024 Hyundai Kona Inline. Hyundai brought us the Kona in 2018. It was a cute, small, compact SUV that was easy to run around in, and most importantly, it was fuel efficient. Now in 2024, we have what you can see is the biggest, the boldest, and it's the most athletic Kona yet. In the front now of the all-new redesigned 2024 Kona, we see right off the bat it's wider. It's almost 2 inches wider than the previous model. Also, that kind of insect, that buggy front end that the last generation Kona had is gone now. And in its place, we have a super futuristic, athletic front end now for your inline models. We'll talk about the limited models coming soon as we get one in stock, but right now, what you can really see is the sporty nature of the Kona Inline really coming to life now in the front. Open functional vents, that kind of cascading metal at the finish, but then again, nice open grills and that nice inline badging. Moving to the top now is probably the coolest thing featured in the front of the Kona, and it's that daytime running light bar that wraps on the front. So when we're talking about the future of the Kona, it doesn't get more futuristic than that. Now in the inline, the 2024 model features a 1.6 liter turbocharged four-cylinder with 190 horsepower. So when we think back to our very first Kona, that cute little thing only put out 147 horsepower. Now your inline, your limited, and every trim model now is going to have that 190 horsepower output. Also, you'll notice in the front, we talk about how cleaned up this Kona is and how mature it is. That new emblem, kind of that polished aluminum finish now, stamped into the hood, and it really cleans up the front end. There's no more bulky emblems in the front or in the rear. So minimalistic aesthetics and athletic design now is what we're really seeing in the front end of this new Kona. LED headlights, and we still have that stacked design. Your turn signals now will be down here at the bottom, and you have a bigger headlight output and a bigger, taller headlight. Now, I mentioned earlier about the functionality of the new front end and the new grille. You're probably saying, Tony, this middle piece right here doesn't look too functionable. Well, it doesn't look like it's allowing a lot of airflow for that new front end. Well, anytime you start your engine up, you'll notice one little thing. Those air vents now open up to allow for increased airflow for that 1.6 turbocharged engine. And that right there is going to maximize your airflow when you're on the road. The previous year model Kona had that reverse teardrop design where it was kind of thick in the back and then narrowed down in the front. Now with our redesigned 2024 Kona, we have a thicker, more tucked in front end. So we have easier clearance in the front and in the rear because they've drastically tucked that rear end in. Also down the side, you can see the hood line is much longer. It's 5.7 inches longer than the previous model, and it's about 2 inches taller. Now on our inline models, we have these nice fender flares that are body matching. So this denim blue pearl, you have that fender flare that wraps around. It really elevates that wide body presence you have in the Kona. On your limited models, there'll be blacked out panels as well, which really brings in that luxurious feel for the limited models. Of course, on your inline, multiple inline badging, black side mirrors instead of body matching door handles. But speaking of the door, you see something very similar that we've already seen across that Hyundai model lineup. And it's that Z design, that imprinted diamond cut design that the Elantra had, the Tucson has, the Santa Cruz has. Now the Kona shares that same aesthetic feel. Taller cabin now for your backseat passengers. And you can see, it's a bigger vehicle in the rear. So you have almost 3 inches of increased headroom and shoulder room now in the rear. We got a little touch of that previous generation, a little paying homage to the last generation Kona, where we have that bubble design still, but it gets really cleaned up when we body match those fenders. And we slap on a black spoiler, a two-piece spoiler now for the all-new inline. One of my favorite features now across the inline board, whether it's the Elantra, the Tucson, and now the Kona, are the feet, the shoes, the wheels that the new inline has. 19-inch alloy finish wheels, and that right there is probably the most intricate design wheel that Hyundai has to offer, and now it's on the new Kona. Now in the rear of the 2024 Kona, I mean, you already see it. It's snubbed, it's tight, it's cleaned up, and it's got usable space now. The previous model kind of seemed like it had these bulky fender flares, these bulky body parts that really didn't fit with the aesthetic of the Kona. Now, with the inline, that's all changed. Of course, we see that two-piece wing, that wraparound light bar. At nighttime, it is awesome. It looks like something that you'd see on the moon, like a moon rover vehicle. Also moving down, that polished metal that we also saw with the front, we have that in the rear, and it's stamped into the back of the Kona. Again, cleans it up, makes those aesthetics look the best that it ever has. Moving down, that rear diffuser on your inline models. It's aggressive, and it truly brings out that sporty nature now in the Kona. Awesome new rear diffuser is wrapped in the same kind of polished metal feel that our emblem shares now with the top of that diffuser, bringing the rear of that new Kona in. Of course, with every inline, you're gonna need an aggressive exhaust. And this inline Kona doesn't change that at all. On startup, you're gonna get that growl, that rumble that every sport car should feel. And these beautiful new taillights for the Kona, these new stacked taillights, they're wider and of course they're a little bit taller like your headlights. And what does that mean? Visibility at night now is increased drastically. All new for 24 and the Kona is that power lift tailgate you will get on your limited models. Now your inline features a manual lift option with a little bit of assistance there. And of course, the biggest feature now in your interior of the all-new Kona is the increased cargo space that you have for 2024. Now, when your seats are folded up, you have just under 25 cubic foot of space now in the rear. When the seats are down, you're looking at 63 cubic foot of space now in the all-new Kona. Now, you still have that hard cargo cover that is removable in the Kona, but now you can slide that cargo cover, you can remove it and slide it behind the backseat passengers now, so you have increased space and storage now vertically in your cargo area. Also, speaking about vertical space, this new platform drops down and clicks in there. So now you have just over 2 inches of space now increase in your cargo area. And underneath that platform, you have that spare tire and you have that first aid kit and jack kit now for the 24 Kona. We still have those 60/40 drop-in rear seats in the Kona. So if you have the skis, a couple more than 2 golf bags in the back, or even a bike, you have that ability to independently drop those seats. And it's pretty easy. We've just scratched the surface of the outside on this new redesigned Kona. Now let's jump on the inside and check out what's new. Welcome to the inside of the all-new Kona. And of course, the inline, we see those great aggressive, those famous inline style seats, Alcantara with the red stitching, the red racing accents all the way around. That same red stitching carries over to your steering wheel and to that new dash. Speaking of that dash, it's kind of tucked back. It's a little more forward facing. There's no more of those bulky displays, no more cluster buttons. Everything on the dash now is extremely user-friendly and it's super clean and efficient. Now the interior of this new Kona, it feels bigger and it is. In the front, your passengers are gonna feel that inch increased space now. Your backseat passengers will have almost 3 inches of increased space. Now we also see your cup holder designs here, they're integrated just like what the Palisade has. I call them those hotel style doors, those revolving door style cup holders. You have all of this increased space now. You have an additional removable tray. Back here where your armrest is, you can also remove that tray so you can truly maximize now that center cup holder area. Now let's say we got a big gulp cup, we got a couple Gatorades, one push of a button, you got a cup holder again. And on our inline, we have heated front seats, high, medium, and a low. You also have that camera adjusting button where anytime you can press that little camera, you can see what's behind you. You can also adjust that from the screen. In the center, we have that turn dial drive select mode. We have our normal mode, our sport mode, and a snow mode now in the inline. And with one press of the drive mode select button, you can lock your differential now in all-wheel drive. On your inline, your limited models, you got wireless phone charging ability, multiple quick charging ports now for the driver and the passenger. For the first time now in this newly redesigned Kona, we have dual climate control for your driver and your passengers. So anytime the driver can set it for 75, while your passenger can set it for 68, whatever they prefer. Now we have our AC, our seat controls, our front and our rear defroster options, all user-friendly, giant buttons that are easy to access, and you can clearly see them when you're driving down the road. Now at the top here, we have our media features and our functions. We have our home button that'll always route us back to this main menu here. We have our split screen for our map, and we also have our audio functions for our satellite radio, our FM, our AM, and our Bluetooth connections as well. Speaking of this display, this is one of the biggest displays now in the model lineup. 12.3 inches now in the Kona, and it's seamless with the cluster. So no more of those kind of obstructions, kind of canceling your view line now. Everything is open, it's super bold, and it's very user-friendly in the front. Now you're probably wondering, Tony, this isn't an EV, so where is the shifter? Just like with our very first cars back in the day, that shifter is going to be on the steering column here. So easily while you're driving and you're in park, you can easily, with one click, activate reverse or click forward. Now you're in drive. So it's super simple. It cleans up now the cockpit area for the driver. Now the steering wheel on your new redesigned Kona, very futuristic, very athletic and sporty. That inline steering wheel has those D-cut pattern designs, that stitch, that ridge stitching all the way across here. Very sleek, very minimal now steering wheel. Now one thing you will kind of notice, traditional, the Hyundais, you would be able to channel between your cruise control features on your right side. Now that's going to be on your left side, and your volume controls, your audio controls will be on the right side. So a little easier, a little more user-friendly for the driver. Now, just like with that awesome digital 12.3-inch display we have a digital 10-inch display behind your steering wheel. It's super in-depth. You have your tachometer on the left side, very blown up letters. What also nice is it actually changed the layout as you're switching between your sport mode, your normal, and your snow modes. What makes the inline different than the limited is going to be, of course, that sport tuned suspension you have. 190 horsepower. Now it's completely changed with how it produces that power. It's a snappier vehicle now, and it is more aggressive driving. Now you know that you're in the inline. Now this is where the Kona truly shines, and it's in the rear now. Let's check it out. Last year model and previous models, the back seat was a little cramped. Now I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but it was a little small for me. In this new redesigned Kona, kind of feels like I'm in the Tucson. I mean, we have tremendous space back here, tremendous knee space. The seat's not even pulled forward. It's comfortable for me to jump in there and drive. Shoulder room and headroom is also increased by 3 inches now for your backseat passengers. The previous Kona also felt like it had that divider in your rear seat, so your backseat passengers were kind of limited. Now we can fit 3 comfortably back here, but also that same Alcantara finish that we have for the driver and the passenger is back here in the rear. So they're not missing out on any of the features that we have up front. Speaking of features now, vents in the rear. No more hot backseat passengers crying and nagging at you. You also have 2 USB-C charging ports there for super quick charging in the rear. So that's the biggest thing when we're jumping into the redesigned Kona, is how your backseat passengers feel and if they're comfortable or not. And I'm pretty pleased. Nice, LED lights up here. So now what is this newly redesigned Kona going to cost you? For the inline model and an all-wheel drive with the H-Track system, $33,485 will be your starting MSRP for that vehicle. When you move up now to your head honcho, the limited package now for the 24 Kona, $34,485 will be your starting MSRP. Ladies and gents, thank you again for tuning in, taking some time with us and walking around the sneak peek, just a little dip in the all-new Kona. Stay tuned now for part 2 when we dive into the limited series and some of your entry models that will be coming soon later in the fall. But again, like we always say, thank you. We hope to see you in the showroom soon. Stop in, test drive the inline. Let us know what you think. See you guys soon.